everyone. Welcome to Striking a Chord. I am Mad Manda. This is a very special bonus episode because with us today we have country music's latest heartthrob, as well as one of TBK's 2019 Artists to Watch, Mr. Eric Ethridge. What's going on?
Amanda, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, and thank you guys so much for featuring me on TBK Magazine. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Thank you for making awesome music.
No problem.
So I know you're just coming off of your radio tour. Is this your first one?
This is my fourth, actually.
Fourth? Wow, so you're pretty seasoned at this point, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a whirlwind of the last 2 years. Yeah, so this it's kind of nice when you've done a few. The first one's always a little bit scary, but yeah, just coming off a radio tour across Canada, and then I'm back here in Nashville, songwriting and getting ready for new music as well, actually. So exciting times.
So for those who aren't familiar with a radio tour, can you go ahead and give everyone a little bit of a brief rundown of what that's like?
Yeah, of course. So a radio tour is essentially when an artist puts out a song to the radio, they go and then visit every radio station or all the radio stations that they can, usually across the country. And this is just as a chance to like promote your music to all the people running the radio stations, and it sort of helps get them to know you and also helps to get your song on the radio. So definitely in Canada it happens a lot, and it's usually only about 3 weeks in Canada, whereas in America it can be like 6 to 8 months because there's 10 times as many stations, maybe 100 times as many stations actually. So it's quite a bit more involved down here for sure. And
so radio tour is what a lot of artists don't tell you, is it's a lot of early mornings. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a lot of early mornings, a lot of flights, it's mostly just driving for like weeks on end, but it's a lot of fun too. You try to have fun in there, and you see like I'll be in like 4 different cities in the same day. It's kind of crazy, and then fly around the city after. Yeah, so it's definitely good to be back in one place for at least a week.
Yeah, I imagine waking up in a different city gets kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, and I mean, like, sometimes if you're taking Airbnbs or you're doing motels, sometimes they're a little sketchy, so that gets old too.
a little scary at times.
Yeah, for sure.
So, being that you're a Canadian artist, naturally you've had quite the success in your home country. And in fact, you even opened for Thomas Rhett and Florida Georgia Line on a major festival out there, Boots and Hearts, for anyone who's not familiar. Tell me what that experience was like, and then the doors that it's opened for you since then.
Yeah, so that was actually a few years ago, back in 2015. Boots and Hearts is it is the biggest country music festival in Canada. I believe there's usually about 60,000 people there every year. And for those listeners who aren't familiar, like, country music is massive in Canada. So there's like, I know a lot of like American acts when they come up there to perform. They're always shocked at like how insane Canadian country fans are. But yeah, so I had the chance to open up for Thomas Rhett, Florida Georgia Line, and that was sort of the start, I would say, to my career really. Since then, so that was 2015, and I was actually, how I got that opportunity, because I was unknown at that point. I was in a contest. And it was sort of like I had an opportunity to play one song right before Thomas Rhett, and then another band had to play one song. And there's a panel of judges, and the winner got a major record deal. So that was like, it was pretty intense. There's 40,000 people watching. It was pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the most intense performance of my life at the time. And yeah, so I unfortunately did not win that competition. I was in the top 2 out of the nation, but didn't sign a record deal that day. And I remember taking a picture of the crowd and like promising myself I was going to work every single day to get back to this stage someday in front of all these people, one way or another. And so fast forward 4 years later, I got offered a spot on that very same stage opening up for Miranda Lambert this summer, actually August 3rd, or August 10th, actually. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of a come full circle moment. And this time I'll be playing a full set and not just one song. So it's going to be
that's really awesome.
Yeah. So it's been an exciting year, to say the least. So.
Speaking of exciting years, so you recently released the music video for your radio single, If You Met Me First. And just like the song, it definitely tugs on the heartstrings. Tell me about filming this video and how you brought the vision for it to life and how that translated on the screen.
Yeah, so, If You Met Me First, this song, like, off my debut EP, this song by far is the song, like, is the song that is connected with people sort of all over the world. And the thing about it, it's a song about two people who are in love. They know they're in love with each other, but whatever the circumstances, whatever, maybe it's the timing, who knows what it could be, but they know that in this life they're never going to be together. And that the thought of that is just really, really sad, right? I think a lot of people connect to that. 'Cause a lot of people have been through that in their life where, they know it, somebody else knows it, that they want to be together, but it's just not going to work. And so the question was, like, how do we bring that emotion to life on screen? And it's hard to do with music videos because sometimes it can just kind of fall short and not really connect with the audience.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's a tough thing to do, is really to, like, convey the emotion. Like Thomas Rhett's Marry Me video does a great job of that, and even like the Tequila video by Dan and Shay does a great job of that. So, how do we, the question was, and we had a big meeting about this, is like, okay, here's the budget, here's our timeline, we got 2 weeks. What are the ideas? And so I was working with the record label on this, and they had an idea, and then I, like, wrote out this whole other idea, and then we kind of met in the middle on this idea, which ended up being a music video, and they did it. The team that the label picked did a fantastic job. The whole video was shot in a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the whole thing was shot in like 12 hours, and it was my first time ever, like, legitimately acting in a video. Other than that, it's been, like, really bad acting. Like, not that this is good acting on my part, but I mean, you guys can all watch it and let me know what you think. So yeah, no, it was a really good experience. I think they did an excellent job of bringing the emotion of the song to life and the message to life. So in this video, we have to go watch it, but my heart gets broken in it too. So. The video, the video we actually posted on both the TBK website or Facebook page and the Striking a Chord Facebook page for those of you listening who want to go watch the video. But the video, just like the song itself, is so gut-wrenching. Like you said, it's definitely something that a lot of people can relate to. Tell me about how you found this song, or how it found its way to you, and then what really spoke to you about the song when you first heard it. Well, actually, it was kind of crazy. It was pretty serendipitous. So, weird story. So the writers of the song, I didn't write the song, but my manager is friends with one of the writers on Instagram, and this writer was just playing a version of it acoustic on her Instagram one day. And this song was written like 5 years ago. So just sitting there collecting dust, and she sent it to me. She's like, I think this is a killer song. So I was like, well, I want to hear a guy's voice on it. And then it turns out the guy's voice was one of my really good friends in Nashville. I was like, his name's Ty Graham. I was like, Ty, I didn't even know you wrote the song. Like, your voice sounds amazing on it. And then to find out who the third writer is also another friend of mine. All these people I had written with individually. I didn't even know that they knew each other. And then they had all written this song together. So it was crazy. So it was like it was kind of like this weird serendipitous like connection between everybody. So we ended up, I did a demo of it, and my whole team was like, this is the best we've ever heard your voice sound on a song. Like, we need to record the song. And I think because, it is the whole idea of the song, the whole theme of the song is something that I connected with. And that's the thing is, like, I know you guys have talked to a lot of singers and artists, and like, you can tell when an artist connects with an idea of a song or vocally, like you can really hear the emotion in their voice. And I think that's sort of what did it for me. So yeah, it was sort of, it was one, all the stars sort of aligned on this one. And, I'm just really grateful for how well the song is done since we released it.
Yeah, it's an incredible song. And you did an amazing job vocally on it, and the video, like I said, was just equally as amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So you mentioned your debut EP, which you released last year. I think it's easily one of the best debut releases by an up-and-coming artist.
Oh my gosh! Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. So like, thank you so much. That's
you're
awesome
welcome.
to hear.
Tell me about this EP and then how that project essentially came together in terms of the songwriting and recording.
Yeah. So just a little bit of background about me. I up until the January 1st of this year, I was a chiropractor in Canada. So I was working like at 3 different clinics, and then taking time off to go to Nashville to write songs, and then I was flying to Vancouver and LA to record. So I spent 2 years on this 7-song EP. So it was kind of a long process, but we finally released the EP in July, and it was sort of a collection of songs over time, and I put like every last penny that I had into this record. So it was pretty intense. Like, you know, I by the time I released it, like, I really hope people like this. I don't know how this is gonna go. You know, it was a scary time. Like June 29th of last year was pretty scary. And then, you know, since then it's been streamed like, I think almost 17 million times, which is
incredible.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I'm really grateful that it went okay. You know, but so it's been a game changer, and since then I've been able to leave my career as a chiropractor and move down to work in Nashville full time, which has just been a dream come true. So yeah, it's been, so my producer is, just a little bit of background on my producer. He's a Canadian, actually dual citizen, Canadian and American, and he works out of Vancouver and Los Angeles. And he's produced, like, he's worked with some artists like Adam Doliak, Keith Urban. He's worked with Taylor Swift. He's worked with some American Idols like Chris Daughtry and David Cook. And
wow.
He took me on to be kind of his first country project back in 2015.
Okay.
And we developed this EP together. We wrote the first single off it, Liquor's Calling the Shots. We wrote that together, and so we got pretty close to the process, and so that's where the sound comes from. And it's been a dream to work with him, because I've been a huge fan of his music ever since I was, you know, like 9 years old, basically, and I grew up listening to the stuff that he's produced. So it's been a dream to be able to work with him. So it's been a pretty cool process.
And so the songs on this EP all have a really great flow to them. They just feel really effortless. Talk to me about the vision you had for the project, and then how the end result lived up to that.
Thank you so much. You know, so I'm so happy to hear you say that, because that's actually was what I had in mind when I was putting together the EP. So I wanted, you know, the thing about an EP is, like, this is your introduction to the world. It's the way I looked at it. I mean, like, people are going to listen to this for the first time, be like, you know, who the heck is Eric Ethridge, and why should I listen to him? I wanted to have something for everybody on there. You know, there's stuff that leans more to, like, the country pop side of things, and then there's stuff that, like, leans a little bit more rock, and then there's stuff that leans even more traditionally as well. And I wanted to show that I was a versatile singer, and that I could kind of, you know, be all over the place if I wanted to be. But at the same time, I wanted the EP to be cohesive. You know, I wanted one song to flow hopefully pretty smoothly and seamlessly into the next one. So
right.
So that, a lot of that is like song choice, and a lot of that is like how you structure the EP and like put the songs together. But you know, and being an independent artist for the last 5 years, you want to get the most out of it. So If You Met Me First, 4 out of 7 songs have been put to radio. The first 3 charted. If You Met Me First is now approaching top 40 as well in Canada. So so I've been very lucky that we've been able to take this EP a long way, which is really awesome.
So If I Met You First really made quite the impression when it debuted on SiriusXM's The Highway, and their segment On the Horizon. Tell me about the impact that had on your career, and then in general, how important it is for radio stations to incorporate rising and up-and-coming artists into their rotation.
Yeah, so that was an absolute game changer. You know, in Canada, everybody listens to The Highway, it seems. Everybody that has satellite radio, and it's a pretty amazing station. And I remember driving down the highway one day, listening to the highway, and heard my song come on, and I like videotaped it because I was like, this is the craziest moment ever. Also because, you know, not a lot of independent artists get on there, and not many Canadian artists get on there, right? Like, it's an American channel, and that's a big deal for us back home, right? And so that was a pretty monumental moment in my career, and it was pretty amazing. We still to this day don't know how it happened. We don't know how it got on there. No clue, because If You Met Me First, we weren't even planning on putting that on the radio.
Oh, wow.
It was like one of the last songs recorded.
That's crazy to think about, because, I mean, I honestly think that's the best song on the EP. I mean, it's hard to choose a favorite, but I think that's the best one.
Thank you. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. And I'm very grateful. But then what was even crazier is it kept playing every weekend on the highway. And I think it was on there for 24 weeks straight, which I don't know if that's ever been done or not. I really don't know, but probably not by a Canadian, that's for sure. And so it changed the game for my career. It sort of it gives you a little bit of credibility in Nashville as well, like amongst the labels and publishers, and that's sort of what led to my record deal signing. And so it's definitely been a huge boost for my career.
I remember your Twitter like blowing up right after that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's still, honestly, Amanda, it's still sinking in, like, even almost a year later. Like, I'm like, I can't believe that happened. I can't, and it's genuine, like, disbelief.
Right.
So it's starting to be like, okay, because, this time last year, I was freaking out trying to get the album done, and still working, like, bouncing between 3 different chiropractic clinics and wondering, when I'm going to go bankrupt. So it's been it was an intense time. So, like, now that, once that happened, that completely changed my life. And so just very grateful for that opportunity. Yeah.
And so it's crazy to think that you almost didn't pursue music full time. Like, you were a full-time chiropractor, and, recently you decided to pack up and move to Nashville to pursue music full time. So tell me about that decision, and, like, if it was a difficult one to make, or did you kind of go back and forth about it for a while? It wasn't a matter of if I was going to do it. It was a matter of when I was going to do it. Like, in my head, I was like, I'm going to Nashville. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. I have no idea, but I put it out to the universe in 2015, 2016. I was like, this is where I need to be. This is where the action is. This is where, all the best writers and artists are in the world are. If I want to do this and be successful at it, I got to be in the scene. So, but it was a matter of, like, okay, music is very expensive to do when you don't have a record deal, and how do you pay your bills when you have to, like, pay for recording and not only that too, especially being from another country, you can't just move to Nashville. You need a visa, you need a work visa, right? But and that's tricky too, because you have to prove to the United States government that you're famous. So it's tricky if you're not famous. So that's there's a whole number of, like, factors that went into that, but it was just for the timeline's sake, like, July of 2018 released the album. In that month, it was on the highway. 2 months later, I was offered a record deal, and then in December, on the first week of December, my work visa and my record deal both came through in the same week. So January 1st, I moved here. And my goal, it's funny, at the beginning of January 2018, I wrote down, by January 2019, I want to be living and working in Nashville. And a year later, I was. So it's pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know. Not only is it wild, but, like, it's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's it definitely was not an easy thing to do, but, I mean, nothing worth doing is easy,
Right. As someone who gave up a successful career as a chiropractor to follow a dream, what advice would you give to other people out there who also have a dream that they'd love to pursue full time?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a couple things. It's all on how you look at life, right? Like, I mean, to me, life is short. I think we all assume we're going to live till we're 85 years old or 90 years old, but it just seems like that's a sort of a natural feeling. But we've all probably experienced, losing friends and loved ones way before their time.
Yeah.
And in my mind, life's too short not to follow your dreams. So, I'd rather say I tried and failed than never tried at all. I don't think I'd be able to I guess, forgive myself if I never tried. So,
yeah.
That was the decision-making process for me, and that's why I did that. Obviously you got to be responsible and make sure that you can make it work and do those sorts of things. But it's, you only live once. There's no life, 2.0. So definitely, if you have a dream and a passion, find a way to make it work. It's not even all about being the most talented person out there. It's, there's a saying that I love. It's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
So it
I love that.
Yeah, I love that one's kind of been my mantra. Like, there's a lot of examples of people who may not be the best singer in Nashville, but work their butt off to get to where they are.
Right.
And so, yeah, so that would be those two things, like life is short, follow your dream and your passion, and work, but don't be afraid of hard work.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to me a bit about how fast or slow success happens for artists in Canada versus the US, and then what one does differently than the other that either really jumpstarts an artist's career or just makes it so much harder to take off.
Well, I think that's a great question. How fast or slow it happens. It depends on so many things, because Canada, I mean, to compare to the U.S., it's just like divide everything, when it comes to Canada and the U.S., divide everything by 10, because the U.S. is 10 times bigger than Canada, It's hard in Canada. Like, people say, what's the radio like up there? Radio it's getting harder every month. It's super, super difficult right now, especially, and it's getting harder, it seems like, every single release. But it's very competitive up there now. It's way more competitive than it used to be even 5 years ago or 10 years ago. The thing about Canadian country music is, all Canadian country singers are trying to be successful in America. And the reason for that is because, the ability to make a better living is here than up there. In Canada, there's only so many venues you can play throughout the year. Whereas in America, like, you could tour, California for 3 months if you wanted to,
right.
or Texas if you wanted to. Whereas, you probably can't do more than 3 months across Canada nationally as a whole, because there's just nowhere else to play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's only so many venues to play. Like, a national tour usually would span 3 months max, typically. So we're in the U.S. You can kind of tour the whole country for a year if you want to, or, and there's just more opportunity to play, more opportunity to make a living as a musician down here. So pretty much every Canadian artist you talk to is trying to get down here to play and perform and be successful. To put it in perspective, though, it's a lot harder to have a song on the radio in the United States than it is in Canada. You generally need a major record deal to do it, I would say. It costs way more to put a song on the radio here than it does up in Canada as well. So there's only been a handful of artists in history to do it that are Canadian. Like, Shania Twain is the most recognizable. Right. Which, she was one of the biggest country stars in the world, but she's from the same province I'm from. And
okay.
Yeah, so she had, multiple number ones, but there's another one, I don't know if you recognize, like Terry Clark at all, but she's back. So she was the last one. She had a number one as well. But there's only a handful. There's the only solo male Canadian to ever do it. And this is my goal. My goal is to get number one in the U.S. I'd be the first guy to do it since Hank Snow in the 60s. So, oh, wow. Yeah, it hasn't happened since. So that's kind of my goal right now. But yeah, it's super difficult. It's, you need it takes a huge team of people to make it happen, and super competitive. It's super, super competitive down here. So, I guess to summarize that answer, I would say to make a good living playing music in America is like just on average, I think is easier in my opinion. Doesn't mean you're going to be super famous, but you can actually make a really good living playing music here without being famous. Whereas in Canada, it's a lot harder to make a really good living playing music without being famous in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so it's different landscape, different markets, you could say. You know, when American artists like are getting paid $1 million a show, the top Canadian artists might get a tenth of that. You know, so that's
crazy to think about.
Yeah, imagine getting paid $1 million for singing for an hour. Wouldn't that be wild? Yeah.
Wow.
Not a bad job.
Not at all, right?
Yeah.
Since you've been in Nashville, tell me about some of the songwriters and artists that you've gotten a chance to work with.
Yeah, I actually most recently got a chance to work. Like I've been very lucky. Like now that I'm signed to a publishing company and a record label, I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing songwriters. Just to name a few, like I've worked with guys that have written for Chris Young, Brantley Gilbert, and then recently I've written a couple songs with a guy named Jimmy Robbins. And Jimmy Robbins.
That's impressive.
He's I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy at all, but he's got, as of up to this year, he's got 10 number ones. He's only 30 years old.
Oh my God.
He wrote some Maren Morris. He wrote I Could Use a Love Song by Maren Morris. He wrote It Goes Like This by Thomas Rhett. He wrote Jason Aldean, When the Lights Go Down, like some massive hits. So he and I wrote 2 tracks together in the last month or so. They're both amazing. Seeing this guy work is just unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable to see someone like him sit down and just spit out a song, and it's fantastic, and it's effortless for him. So, yeah, it's been a really, really cool experience being down here. It's also humbling too, right? Like Nashville. You guys are based out of Nashville? Is that correct?
Actually, I'm in Chicago. My producer's in Arkansas. I don't know if he's been to Nashville yet, but I've been to Nashville once.
Numerous times. Love Nashville.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I saw that I was listening to one of your podcasts and you were talking about the song Suffragettes. So I was like, oh, that's a Nashville songwriter round. So
yeah, my heart's in Nashville.
Gotcha. Well, we got to get you down here.
I know, right?
Again, I guess, because you've already been here. But yeah, but I mean, it's so many talented people down here. So it's very humbling. It's there's a saying out there that you don't come to Nashville to stand out. You come to Nashville to get really good at what you do. Yeah. So that's what I keep that in the back of my mind. It's just like, it's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to get, you don't become Keith Urban. You don't wake up one day and you're Keith Urban or Garth Brooks. You take years of, trying to perfect what you do. Right. So, yeah.
Speaking of the songwriting process, talk to me about yours, because I know there's a lot of people that, like you said, like with somebody like Jimmy Robbins, it seems to come so natural to them, so easy. Mm-hmm. And then, there are people who chase radio hits, and then there are people who it just kind of happens for them. So tell me kind of where you find yourself like falling as far as like your songwriting process goes.
Yeah. Songwriting is fascinating because, everyone has a different process, and it depends on what the goals are too. Like you said, like some people just only want to write music that is meaningful, which I think is super important. And some people are just chasing radio hits, like you said. I'm trying to do both. I want to have music that means something to people, because that's part of what my passion is I love connecting with people through music. So, it's different every day. It's challenging to come up with something that's meaningful, new, exciting, and different every single day. So I try to. I have an overall theme, that I like. Some artists will have a different theme. Some people are really good at sad songs, for example. I'm pretty much like the love song guy. Yeah. Everybody jokes like, oh, you're the love song guy. Like, here, I got 8 love songs I want to show you. So I love, I guess you could say. But I'm also, like one of the themes that goes through my music is a lot of my newer stuff. My songwriting is, women are often a theme, or females in general, just like universal females. But with that, I would say that it's not, I'm not looking at females as an object or something to be picked up at a bar, for example.
Right.
Or
which we always appreciate. Hit on.
Which right. Because I think that's kind of cheesy a little bit. And I also just think like you said, like girls don't appreciate, it's not romantic really.
Right.
But it's more like there's like in my songwriting, there's sort of like a reverence to like women are to be respected and revered. And so, that's kind of the approach that I'm coming from when I'm talking.
Yes.
About women in my music, or love for that matter. But so that is like the subject matter of my songwriting. What I want is I want to be able to come away with music that people connect with as well, because I think that's the most important aspect of music. And because my live show is such a big part of what I do. I'm always thinking in terms of like, okay, how would this connect to an audience like live? Like what emotion do I want to evoke with these melodies or these lyrics, or how could I use this live? Because at the end of the day, I think, people want to see an artist live. It's easy to get music now. Before it was cool to like buy a record, put the record like sleeve on your wall and like wear out the record. But now it's like you can find anybody's music for free on your phone anywhere at any time. People want to see the show. It's insane. And people want to connect with the artist, right? So my thing is like, okay, well, number one priority for me is like, what is this going to do with the live show? How can I connect with people with this type of song? So those are the things that are going on in the back of my mind when I'm writing songs. My process it changes every day. Like sometimes I'll have a hook or like an idea, or I'm more of like a melodies type person. I can spit out melodies all day, whereas some people are really good at just spitting out lyrics, like really crafty lyrics. Sometimes I'm good at that too. It depends on the day, or if I'm feeling inspired by the song that we're working on. But I always try to, I wouldn't say I don't songwrite by myself very much. I'm always kind of co-writing. So I try to work with people that are complementary, that like if I'm, my strengths match their strengths kind of thing. Right. You know what I mean? And then we sort of complement each other, and that always helps too. So.
And that makes sense. Talk to me sorry for a second. So you mentioned about how, the way you feature women in your songs. And I think an excellent example of how you were explaining it is Girl on Fire, the first song on your EP. I love that song.
Me too. Thank you.
And it's got so much energy to it. I absolutely love it.
That's my jam.
Yes.
Say, what's your favorite song on the record? I'm like, that song, I'm in love with that song. And it, like, I mean, If You Met Me First is like the one sad song on my record, and I love that song too. But The Girl on Fire is like, I never get sick of hearing that song. It's my jam. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're good.
Sharing in the mutual excitement about that song. But,
I love it. So speaking of your live shows, talk to me about what fans can expect from one of your live shows, and then the shows that you've been doing so far, how fans are resonating with the songs. So my live show is centered around, so the one principle that we've spent a lot of time just on the live show that we have now. We spent 18 months, my band and I, putting it together, just like how, crafting how we're going to play the songs. It's not just, it's like when you come to see one of my shows, it's not like we just play the songs front to back and have a good night. It's like, okay, we're always thinking, like, how can we do something different, something you've never seen or heard before? And then how can I involve the audience to make it feel like by the end of the night that they were a part of the experience, that they were actually a part of the show. And that's super important to me. I feel like we've been pretty successful at doing that. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of different ways we can do that, but you'll have to come to a show to
see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm being very vague right now.
You have to come to Chicago. Joe's on Weed Street. I'm telling you.
I would love to. I'm actually like, my home base is like 6 hours from Chicago in Canada. So.
Oh well, there you go. You have to come here then.
Right. And it's one of my favorite cities too. I love Chicago. So I'm working on that now. Actually, we're working on U.S. dates for the fall. So
awesome.
Yeah. So we'll have to set something up.
For sure. Going backwards a little bit, talk to me about your musical background and how music kind of took a backseat essentially for a while to everything else in your life. Was it kind of hard to put it on the back burner for a little bit, or was it always kind of in the background until you got to a place later in your life where you decided it was time to take it and bring it full front to the front?
Well, when music for me was, I always kind of thought that I could sing. When I was younger, I got asked to be in like choirs and stuff. I remember that at school, and I always said no, but the teachers were like, well, you can sing on key. And that's, they would always test you every year, like in school, and be like, well, do you want to join this? Like, no, it's weird. The choir's weird. I don't want to be in it. That's not what the cool kids do. So I put it off, but when I was 16, I started playing guitar, and a lot of my friends are playing guitar, and I was just kind of thought, I'm like, I feel like I can sing, So I started recording my voice, and it ended up being something that I just absolutely love to do. When I went through school, I was like college, I was playing in bars and coffee shops, and started like that. I had a blast doing it, but when I went into chiropractic school, it was just so busy that, it did fall by the wayside. It took a backseat to, I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun hobby that I'll do once in a while when I'm not working around the clock as a chiropractor, running clinics and doing all that. But I would be studying for an exam, and then a song idea would come in my head, or I would be out doing another, working on something else school related, and then, a melody would be in my head, and then I would find myself thinking about, I wish I was singing right now, or I'd be singing all the time at home or at school. And it was something that I just needed to do. So when people would be studying for exams, I would be taking a subway downtown Toronto to find a weird, sketchy bar to open mic night on a Tuesday in the middle of winter, and bring my guitar and just play for nobody. And that was something that I needed to do for me, because I loved performing. Didn't matter who was there. It wasn't until halfway through chiropractic school that I was convinced by the person who's now my manager. She reached out to me out of nowhere and was like, I really think you should try music. So I gave it a go back in 2014. And the first show, I put a band together for the first show. That show led to more shows, and it's been snowballing ever since. So it's one of those things. I do think it's been like following my gut and intuition, and almost signs from the universe without getting too spacey here. It seems like the universe is like things have kind of lined up and pushed me in certain directions. There's been constantly along the way where I'm guessing, is this the right decision? Is this the right decision? Is this a good call? That, of course, there's that. But
and how do you quiet that voice?
That's a good thing. That's a tough thing to do. There's, I think the voice for I want to do this has always been stronger. That's always been stronger. I remember it was like January of 2018. I was walking down the hallway of one of my clinics, and I was like, I was kind of angry because I was like, this isn't where I want to be the rest of my life. I don't want to be in this, like I have a great job, but this is not where I see myself. It was almost like I need out, even though it's like a job that is great. It's fantastic. And I loved, and it was a rewarding job, and I loved parts of it, but my gut was telling me, I'm like, what really, I guess what really like makes me feel alive is being creative and music and connecting with people through music. And I would take a serious pay cut to go do that full time,
And that's how yeah.
Like I would I would take half the pay to go do something that I love every day and be happier and excited about than make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars at something that I'm really not super stoked on.
Right.
And that was it for me. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. And it's funny because most of society would have you believe that what's most important is making a solid living and bringing in, the big bucks and having insurance and health benefits and all this other, stuff that comes with a full-time regular 9-to-5 or whatever, kind of job. And it's almost like sometimes like society makes you feel bad for having big creative dreams. And
Absolutely.
It's kind of sad.
It is sad. Absolutely. I mean, what's funny too, man, is like if you haven't found this guy online yet, his name is Jay Shetty. He's like a philosopher, like motivational speaker guy, but I follow a lot of his stuff. But he says, a lot of people trade their time for dollars, working at 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or whatever it ends up being. Very few people are fortunate enough to find something that they make a good living at, but also love doing.
Right.
And if you can find that, to me, that's a life well lived. If you love what you do and you somehow make a good living at it, that's the dream right there. But your time is more important, in my opinion. Like if you, because you really don't know how much you have.
That's true.
So, So that was the realization I've sort of come to over time is that, if this crashes and burns and fails tomorrow, will I regret the decisions that I made? Absolutely not. Will I regret putting out music out to the world? Like I put out a record in 2018. That will be out there unless like all the internet explodes. That's out there. People can find that, going forward hundreds of years from now. They could go look it up somehow, and so that's kind of cool. That's a cool thought. Maybe that'll connect with somebody 30 years from now. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think that kind of way of thinking definitely does connect with the right people.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You mentioned in college how you played you played in a cover band and in different bars and stuff. I got to ask you this question. What were some of the most requested songs you had to play versus what were some of your favorite songs you actually enjoyed playing?
One of them is Freebird. Everybody's like, you always get the one drunk guy in the back like, play Freebird. Like, are you kidding me? At
every show. But
I'm
now
completely
I think
sorry about
Freebird
that.
is Africa.
Africa?
I was at a Howie Day show and somebody yelled, "Play Africa!"
I've never actually got that request. That's so funny.
Watch
but
that, start getting it.
Yeah, I'll probably start playing that at my show. Let's do Toto Africa. Let's do it. Let's do a country version.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of like, I had a lot of favorites. Like even just like your typical, even like throwing down Sweet Home Alabama or like other weird covers like Tracy Chapman and things like that. Like I just loved singing that stuff, So it was fun for me. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, you get the odd like Freebird. No one wants to hear a 7-minute guitar solo tonight.
Right.
Yeah, but you're at the wrong bar.
Do you ever not? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said I've seen a lot of them. I've seen it all. It seems. So.
Have you ever had anybody in the audience like just completely overreact, like temper tantrum, like if you've decided like not to play one of the requests?
Maybe. Well, yeah. Some people get pretty disgruntled. It's like play this song, and I'll be like, no. They'll be like, I'm like, well, I don't know it. They're like, well, why? How can you not just play it? I'm like, because I don't know the words and I don't know the chords. Like, what do you want me to just like? What do you want me to do? You want me to make like? Well, just play it. I'm like, well, it doesn't really work that way. Like, you have to know the song if you're gonna play it. So that's just it's like speak Chinese. I can't. That's not what. It's so, you get good at talking to people, like drunk people. It's fun.
Which comes in handy when you move to Nashville.
Oh yeah, like I actually work off of it. Like I played in a cover like covers for 10 years in bars, and had the 10-year anniversary right before I moved to Nashville. It was my 10-year anniversary from playing at this one bar in my college town. And I told everybody, it's like my last show at this bar called Jack's. And like a few hundred people came out to it. It was pretty cool. And I work with people off the crowd. Like if there's, somebody comes in and is being standing weird by the bar, it's like, hey, you, what's your name? This song goes out to you. Okay, now you're going to come on stage and sing with me. And like bantering with people. You get really good at freestyling that. It's a good skill to have,
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun too.
So what was an example of a song that somebody asked you to play that you just didn't know? Like, I'm curious to see what songs you didn't know.
Ooh. Oh, it would be like newer stuff. Like if I was playing country stuff, people would be like, play the song by Cardi B. And I'd be like,
oh God.
Or like, play this new pop song by some rapper I've never heard, which no offense to rap. I just like, I've just haven't, I'm not into rap anymore.
Yeah.
To be stuff like that. Yeah. So that there's a lot of stuff like that. Really, like play this song, like, play Soulja Boy. I'm like,
oh God.
Hey, like I don't have I need like a DJ booth to do that. So I have an acoustic guitar. So it's but there's been times too where I'm like, I'll get somebody, I'm like, okay, hold your phone up in front of my face, in front of like 200 people. This person will be standing there holding their phone so I can read the lyrics, and then I play the song. Like while I've done that a bunch. I've done that a bunch of times. So and people think it's funny, like it's their whole like it's kind of it's different, but
for sure.
Yeah, it's I have fun with it.
That's awesome. So from what I've heard and what you mentioned earlier, you are working on new music, which will hopefully be released later this year. What can you share with us about that?
So the new music, because we're actually, this week we're actually picking which songs. So I have a good idea of which ones we're going to go with, but I'm really excited about the new stuff because I think this has been a theme for me, is like I'm trying to keep people on their toes a little bit. And I've been listening to, like, when I listen to my music, I'm like, you know what, my stuff's a little weird. There's always some element, like, listen.
You think so?
I think it's a little weird. Like, I mean, I love what I do, but I'm like Girl on Fire, some of those melodies are strange. They're strange. I love them, but
it's refreshing, I think.
Yeah. So I want to keep going with that. Whereas, like, you know what, maybe it's not right down the center where it's like, okay, this is typical and this is ordinary. It's going to be like, that's, people, it's going to make people kind of like think twice about, wow, that's interesting. That's different.
Yeah.
I haven't heard something like that. It's not predictable. So there's going to be some of that in the new music, but there's also going to be some stuff too that, like, I've definitely developed and have started to come into my own sound. I think that's another thing that's been exciting about being here and living in Nashville.
Okay.
You start to hone in on who you are as an artist,
right?
And what you like, what the really cool things are about your voice, and so that I'm honing in on too. So I think you're gonna start to see a little bit more of a theme throughout what it is that I release, and like what makes me different than every other artist on the radio.
Yeah. Can you expect more sad songs?
What's that?
I said, can fans expect more sad songs?
Well, we're looking at doing, it depends on if we do a full record or not. There's definitely probably going to be more sad songs. It's country music. We're going to have some sad stuff in there, I think. But,
of course.
But I think the next one going out will probably not, I don't want to depress everyone all the time. So I'm probably going to like swing back the other way with a happy song.
Okay.
That's all I'm giving you. That's all you get.
So the next song that you release, is it going to be a new one, or are you going to release one more off of the EP?
It's looking like it's going to be a new one, probably.
Okay. Any idea when?
Not quite yet. My goal is within 2019. That's what I'd like to do. I would do it next week if we could, but we got to make sure that all our ducks are in a row. We got to make sure that we want to have a music video ready and make sure the timing is everything in the music industry as well. Too, right?
Definitely.
So, we want to make sure that the launch for the next one is even bigger than the last one. And so I'm excited. I'm just excited to get it out there, and play. I'm excited to play in Chicago. That's what I'm excited to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're definitely excited to hear your new music, and definitely cannot wait for you to come to Chicago. So speaking of that, I know you said you're working on U.S. tour dates for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any tour or festivals fans can expect to see you at this summer?
Yeah, well, the big one in Canada, if you're in the Canadian area, or even if you're not, you should go up to Canada, because if you're American, your money's like, everything's 30% off for you because your money's worth more. Yeah, so it's your money. It's like $1 US is like $1.35 Canadian. So you're great. But it's an incredible festival to go to up there, and it's just near Toronto. It's beautiful up there. So Boots and Hearts would be like the big one if you're in the United States. And then I'll be headlining some shows in and around that as well. Playing around Nashville a little bit too. I'm playing at the Listening Room in a few weeks, which is a big.
That's exciting.
Yeah, a big songwriter venue here in town. And so if you just check my social media, I'll be posting that stuff, doing songwriter stuff. And then probably some stuff in the Midwest is what we're looking at. Probably in the fall will be like Michigan, Illinois, hopefully Ohio, like Wisconsin, that kind of stuff would be great. That's my goal. So.
Awesome. What is something that your fans would be surprised to know about you?
Ooh, surprised to know about me. Well, something like, fun fact, I actually, before I went to school to be a chiropractor, I actually got into school for fine art. I was a painter, sculptor, drawer, like I could sketch.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that was actually, I was going to go and be like a fine artist. And then I was like, well, you can't make money doing that. So I went into science, and then ended up going back into the arts anyway. So,
do you still draw at all?
I don't, not typically like right now, but I do graphic design on a lot of my stuff. I'll do, or like assist in the graphic design with, like I have a vision for something, and then I'll put it together. I just don't have a lot of time to sit down and draw right now, because I'm traveling so much and songwriting and performing, and everything is going on all cylinders right now. So I'm just I don't have a lot of downtime as of right now. But.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, a big part of what we do here on the podcast is review new music and share with our listeners artists they may not have heard of otherwise. What is some new music that's striking a chord with you lately?
New music that is striking a chord with me lately. Are we in the country side of things?
Across any genre.
Yeah. There's a couple, well, I would say he's not so new anymore, but Mitchell Tenpenny, I'm a big fan of Mitchell Tenpenny stuff. He's great.
Okay.
There's an artist that I really like too. He's actually a writer on the same publishing company that I'm on. His name's Adam Hambrick. I don't know if you're familiar with Adam Hambrick.
Yes, I know Adam.
Yeah, I love his stuff too. He's got this song called All You, All Night, All Summer that I'm a big fan of. Love that song. His melodies and stuff are just really, really cool and different.
He's got a unique sound.
That would be some stuff that is interesting to me, for sure. There is sorry, did you say just country, or are you talking like other genres too?
No, any genre.
There's like, I think on the pop side, there's some cool stuff out there. Not new. Like Julia Michaels has got some cool stuff out there. There's a Canadian pop artist, female. Her name's Bulwo, Bulwo. She's got some cool, interesting stuff as well too. Yeah. So there's some interesting stuff out there too. And then I might be biased, but like my girlfriend, she's a country artist here in Nashville. Her record's coming out, and I'm probably her biggest fan. Her stuff is so freaking cool, because it's like this. Her name's Kelsey. Yeah, her name's Kelsey Kulik, by the way.
Okay.
Kalsea. Her music video just debuted on CMT US, and then she's got her singles coming out. Her new singles coming out actually, but her record's coming out, and and I write with her a lot. She's an incredible songwriter. But her sound is it's not like anything I've heard in Nashville, and it's not like being a female, she's very different. But she's got like a retro sounding incredible voice, but there's also like a lot of modern stuff on her tracks too, so look at for Kelsey Kulik too. Her music, she's the type of artist that, like we talked about, connecting with the audience, right? With songwriting. Yep. She has an incredible ability to connect with the audience with her songwriting. It's unbelievable. So
we'll definitely have to check her out.
Yeah, check it out. You will not be disappointed. So those are a few that I'm listening to these days.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and thank you guys so much for the support with the magazine, and I really, really appreciate it. I can't wait to show you the new stuff.
Yes, we can't wait to hear it. Go ahead really quick and let people know where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, I am on Instagram at Eric Ethridge Music, and on Twitter at Eric Ethridge, and Facebook.com/Eric Ethridge. You can also find me on YouTube and ericethridge.com.
And then for those of you who want to follow Striking a Chord, you can go on Facebook at Striking a Chord. Also, you can find us through the CBK Magazine Facebook page. And then on Instagram, we're at Striking a Chord. And on Twitter, we're at Striking a Chord 6. Like I said last week, because there's 6 strings on a guitar. And then make sure you head over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to us, rate us, give us a review, let us know what you think. And more importantly, go check out Eric Ethridge's music because it's awesome and you